The Harvard Business School graduation ceremony was exactly as pretentious as I'd expected. I adjusted my well-worn blazer, the same one I'd worn while signing the final acquisition papers for Sterling Global last week, and found my seat in the back rows where Caroline had insisted I belong. Mr. Chen, a student usher, squinted at his list. The family seating is... Oh, let me guess. I smiled. My ex-wife requested I sit far from the prominent family section. He blushed, nodding. I caught sight of Caroline in the distance, draped in designer labels, her new husband James Sterling's arm around her waist as they held court among Boston's elite. The same James Sterling whose company now technically belonged to me, though the paperwork wouldn't be public until Monday. Dad. Michael's voice carried across the courtyard. My son hurried over in his graduation robes, looking every bit the future CEO he'd become. They put you all the way back here. It's fine. I straightened his tie, just like I used to straighten his uniform before school. Your mother's just being herself. It's ridiculous. He scowled. You're the one who paid for my education. All those years of food truck profits, catering gigs, late nights. And now you're graduating with honors. I patted his shoulder. That's all that matters. Honors from his stepfather's endowed business program. Caroline's voice cut through our moment. She sauntered over, James trailing behind her. Though I suppose we can't expect everyone to appreciate the significance of the Sterling School of Business. I bit back a smile, remembering the board meeting where I quietly acquired the final shares needed for controlling interests. Caroline had been too busy planning her latest charity gala to notice that the Asian man taking notes in the corner was actually a major investor. Caroline, I nodded. Congratulations. Our son did well. Despite his humble beginnings. She eyed my blazer with disdain. Still running that little food truck, David? Actually, it's a fleet of trucks now. And 3 restaurants. How quaint. She turned to James. Darling, remember when David thought he could compete with your restaurant holdings? James Sterling shifted uncomfortably. He'd been receiving my lawyer's messages all week, though he hadn't connected them to me yet. Yes, well, every business starts somewhere. Speaking of business, I checked my watch, a subtle Rolex that cost more than Caroline's monthly shopping allowance. I hear Sterling Global's been having an interesting quarter. James's head snapped up. What do you mean? Oh, just market rumors, I smiled. Something about unexpected share acquisitions. Daddy's company is doing perfectly fine, Caroline snapped. Not that you'd understand corporate finance, selling noodles from a truck. Michael started to defend me, but I caught his eye. Not yet. You're right, I said mildly. I'm just a simple businessman. Though I do read the Financial Times occasionally. Reading about success isn't the same as achieving it, Caroline sneered. Just like watching the Food Network didn't make you a real chef. I watched Michael's face darken and touched his arm gently. It's fine, son. This is your day. Yes, Michael, Caroline brightened. Come take photos with the Sterling Group executives. They're all here to see James's Stepson graduate. You mean Dad's son, Michael corrected. And I'd like photos with him first. But darling, the board members will still be here on Monday, I finished quietly. Though perhaps not in the same positions. James frowned. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing important. I adjusted my cuffs, just thinking out loud about corporate restructuring. Caroline laughed sharply, as if you'd know anything about that. Come along, Michael. The dean wants photos with the Sterling family. I am with family, Michael said firmly, standing by me. My father might not have his name on a building, but he built something from nothing. What have you built, Mom? I built a new life, she snapped. Away from food trucks and budget suits and small dreams, I built connections with people who matter. Connections matter less than conviction, I offered. And dreams are only small if you stop believing in them. A commotion near the stage drew our attention. The dean was gathering dignitaries for the ceremony. James checked his phone, his face paling slightly. Caroline, darling, I need to make a call. The board is requesting an emergency meeting for Monday. Monday, she waved dismissively. Tell them we'll be in Aspen. Michael's graduation party. Might need rescheduling, I suggested. Board meetings can be so unpredictable, especially when ownership changes hands. James's eyes narrowed. How do you know about? Dad, Michael interrupted, a slow smile spreading across his face. Is there something you haven't told us? I straightened my tie. Several things. But today is about you, son. Caroline looked between us suspiciously. What's going on? James, what aren't you telling me? Nothing, dear. But James was studying me with new intensity. Though perhaps we should stay in town for that board meeting. But the party. I've invited everyone who matters in Boston. Everyone who matters. I echoed. Like the service staff who raised our son while you were climbing social ladders? The line cooks who helped me cater extra events to pay for his prep school. Oh, please. Caroline rolled her eyes. Still bitter about the divorce? While you were playing chef, I was securing Michael's future through James's connections. Mom, Michael's voice was steel. Dad secured my future by working 18-hour days. By teaching me value and dignity. By showing me that true success isn't about names on buildings. Speaking of buildings, I checked my phone. The Sterling Tower lease is up for review soon, isn't it, James? The color drained from James's face. How could you possibly know that? The same way I know about the merger attempts, the offshore accounts, and the questionable stock transfers. I smiled. I may be just a food truck owner, but I pay attention. Carolyn grabbed James's arm. What is he talking about? Nothing, James said quickly. He's trying to upset you. No, I said softly. I'm trying to teach you both something about underestimating people. A lesson you'll understand better after Monday's board meeting. Dad, Michael was grinning now. What did you do? Built an empire, I said simply, one dumpling at a time. While your mother was attending galas, I was attending night classes. While she was collecting designer labels, I was collecting shares. And while they were mocking my small business. You were planning something bigger, Michael finished. The ceremony was about to begin. Caroline stood frozen, her perfect world starting to crack. James was already dialing his lawyers, though it was too late. Impossible? Caroline whispered. You're nothing but a food truck owner? I straightened Michael's graduation robes. You'd be amazed what one can accomplish while being underestimated. Shall we find our seats? Though perhaps with some adjustments to the seating arrangement. The graduation ceremony proceeded with all the pomp Harvard could muster. But the real drama unfolded in whispered conversations and frantic text messages. James kept disappearing to make calls, returning each time looking more ashen. Caroline's perfect makeup couldn't hide her growing anxiety. I sat proudly in my new front row seat, courtesy of Michael's insistence, watching my son prepare to give his valedictorian speech. The same determination that had kept me going through years of pre-dawn prep work and midnight catering gigs shone in his eyes. Fellow graduates, Michael began, we talk a lot about legacy here at Harvard, about inherited success and family names on buildings. But true legacy isn't handed down. It's built up. Caroline shifted uncomfortably beside me as Michael continued. My father taught me that success isn't about starting at the top. It's about starting wherever you are and refusing to stay there. He built his first food truck with borrowed money and a dream that most people mocked. James's phone buzzed again. His face went pale as he read the message. Today, that one food truck has become the fastest-growing restaurant group in New England. But more importantly, it became a lesson in dignity, perseverance, and the power of quiet ambition. I caught Caroline watching me with new eyes, probably calculating exactly how successful my little business had become. She had no idea. After the ceremony, at the reception in the Sterling School of Business atrium, the power dynamics began their subtle shift. Board members who'd previously ignored me were suddenly finding reasons to hover nearby. James looked like he needed antacids. David, he'd approached carefully, perhaps we could speak privately. About the board meeting, I sipped my champagne. Or about how you acquired those agent subsidiaries last year? His face went white. How did you know about the irregular stock transfers? The same way I knew your company was vulnerable to a takeover. I pay attention. Caroline appeared at his elbow. James, darling, what's going on? Why do you keep getting calls from the lawyers? Before he could answer, Dean Roberts joined us. Ah, Mr. Chen, I understand congratulations are in order, both for Michael's outstanding achievement and your recent business acquisition. Business acquisition. Caroline's voice rose slightly. What acquisition? I smiled. Just a small merger. Nothing as prestigious as Sterling Global, of course. James grabbed my arm. Stop playing games. How much do you know? Everything, I said quietly, including how you obtained the funding for Caroline's luxury lifestyle after our divorce. Those creative accounting practices caught my attention years ago. You're lying, Caroline hissed. James runs one of the largest corporations in Asia. Ran, I corrected gently. As of last week, Sterling Global has new ownership. Though I kept the name for now. It has such sentimental value, doesn't it? The champagne glass slipped from Caroline's fingers, shattering on the marble floor. Heads turned. That's impossible, James whispered. The only company with enough leverage to acquire controlling interest was Chen International Holdings, and that's my father's company, Michael finished, joining us with a broad grin. Though he kept that quiet while building it. Something about the advantage of being underestimated. Caroline stared at me, really seeing me for the first time in 15 years. Gone was the struggling chef she'd left. In his place stood the man who'd outmaneuvered her husband at his own game. All those years, she breathed, while we were mocking your food trucks. I was learning the business from the ground up, building relationships with suppliers, understanding market dynamics, studying international finance at night school. I straightened my modest tie. The restaurants were profitable, but they were also the perfect cover for watching your husband's company unravel. Dad, Michael beamed, you're actually brilliant. No, I corrected. Just patient, and motivated by something stronger than money. What's that? James asked hoarsely. The desire to teach my son that character matters more than status. That true success comes from hard work, not inheritance. Caroline sank into a chair. So all this time, while you were spending James's money, I was quietly buying his company. While you were hosting charity galas, I was hosting investor meetings. And while you were putting my name at the back of the guest list, you were putting your name on the deed, Michael finished. James straightened his tie nervously. We should discuss terms. Monday, I said firmly. Today is about Michael. Daddy, Caroline's voice had lost its edge. What happens now? Now, I looked at my son, Harvard graduate, future business leader, and the best thing Caroline and I had ever created together. Now we celebrate Michael's achievement. Monday's board meeting will take care of itself. As if on cue, servers appeared with trays of elegant hors d'oeuvres. I recognized them as creations from my first restaurant, the one Caroline had called a charity case when it opened. By the way, I added, the catering is courtesy of that little food truck business you found so amusing. We're now the preferred vendor for Harvard Business School events. Caroline watched as Boston's elite devoured the gourmet dumplings she'd once called peasant food. And James, she asked quietly, can keep his position with supervision if he cooperates with the federal investigation into those creative accounting practices. As they absorbed this final blow, Michael raised his glass. To new beginnings? To new beginnings, I agreed. And to the power of small dreams that refuse to stay small. The evening light filtered through Harvard's historic windows as the reception wound down. I stood in what was soon to be my office in the Sterling, soon to be Chen, School of Business, watching Caroline and James make their subdued exit. Dad. Michael entered, still in his graduation robes. Mom's asking if you'll meet with her. Alone. Of course she is. I turned from the window, now that she knows who really owns her lifestyle. She looked shattered when she realized all those business dinners you invited her to were actually board meetings she was too proud to attend. I smiled. Pride has a way of blinding people. Caroline entered tentatively, a word I'd never associated with her before. Gone was the imperious socialite who dominated the morning. In her place stood a woman facing the consequences of 15 years of poor choices. David, she began, then faltered. I don't even know what to call you now. Dad works fine, I said mildly. It's the title I'm most proud of. She sank into a chair, her designer dress crumpling. All these years, I thought I'd chosen the better life. The bigger dream. You chose the finished product, I corrected. I chose to build something. Those investor meetings you invited me to would have made you a partner in what became a billion-dollar company. I sat across from her, but you were too busy attending James's galas. And the restaurant openings were actually board meetings for Chen International. I smiled slightly. Your RSVPs always said too busy with real business matters. Tears smudged her perfect makeup. I was so wrong, David. About everything. Not everything. I glanced at Michael, who was watching us from the doorway. We did one thing perfectly right. She followed my gaze. He's amazing. But that's because of you, not me. He's amazing because he learned to value substance over appearance, to build rather than borrow, to earn rather than inherit. While I taught him shame about his heritage, she whispered, pushed him to hide his Chinese name to be more sterling than Chen. And yet he chose to write his thesis on Asian American entrepreneurship. I handed her a tissue. Kids have a way of finding their truth. What happens now? She dabbed at her eyes. To James? To the company? James keeps a position if he cooperates with the SEC investigation. The company will be restructured, and you will lose everything. We'll have choices. I opened a folder on the desk. You still own 20% of our original restaurant group. I never sold your shares. She stared at the documents, but I signed them over to James. And I bought them back. Quietly, they're worth considerably more now. Why? She looked up. Why would you do that after how I treated you? Because revenge wasn't my goal. Building something was. And maybe, I paused, maybe showing you that the man you once called small never stopped growing. Michael joined us, placing a hand on each of our shoulders. Mom, Dad's opening a new culinary school, focusing on Asian fusion cuisine and business management. The kind of education I had to piece together at night, I added, while running a food truck and raising a son. Caroline's hands trembled as she held the share certificates. I don't deserve this chance. Maybe not. I stood, but our son deserves to see that both his parents can learn and grow. The board position is yours if you want it, Michael added. Dad's idea. Something about understanding both sides of privilege. She looked between us. The ex-husband she'd underestimated and the son who'd surpassed all expectations. I like that. To learn, to really learn this time. Good. I gathered my coat. Because lesson 1 starts Monday. Board meeting, 9 a.m. No designer labels required. Just wisdom, Michael grinned. And maybe some humility. As we left the office, my office now, Caroline touched my arm. David. I turned. Thank you. Not for the shares or the position, but for showing our son what real success looks like. Real success. I glanced at Michael, standing tall in his graduation robes, is watching your child become someone you have to reach up to admire. The Cambridge evening wrapped around us as we walked out together, not as bitter exes or business rivals, but as two people who created something perfect in our imperfect way. Sometimes the biggest victories aren't in destroying what hurt you, but in building something better from the ruins. And sometimes I thought, watching Caroline really see me for the first time in 15 years. The best revenge is simply becoming someone they never thought you could be.